Welcome back, gamers. Here on the Luna Lounge, you have a very special guest, Eric, aka Digital Zen.
Hi there.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Eric.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you actually stream on Twitch.
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit about the types of games you like to stream and whatnot?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like to stream lately a lot of stuff that's going into what I'm hoping to stream full time in the next little while, which is called Monster Hunter. Like they have actual other games going on right now, which is called Dauntless, which is same kind of style game where it's your main target is a monster. You have to hunt it track it, and then you can hunt it, and then you have to understand its maneuvers and weak spots and everything like that with a group of 4. So, and after defeating it, you'll always get rewarded with like parts like that to generate more armor to take on the bigger, badder beasts. So that's basically in a nutshell what it is, but Monster Hunter is going to be the bigger deal for that. But other than that, I've been streaming like a lot of Blizzard games, like Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, because everybody's playing Overwatch.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with the league starting soon.
Yeah, and other than that, it's the odd games. I try to stay away from story games now, just because spoilers. Like I love the Assassin's Creed series, but
Right.
a lot of people don't want to have that spoiled for them. Other than that, yeah, I'm a bit of everything, but mostly it's going to be FPS games and arena style like
Right.
Monster Hunter.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah.
What got you into Twitch?
Into Twitch. Well, I've always been watching Twitch, even before it was labeled Twitch. It used to be called Justin.tv, and then
Right.
eventually it switched over to Twitch.tv. And at that point, I ended up getting into charity work.
Oh, wow.
Which was, I don't know if it was going on, I think it was going on for a couple of years, but Extra Life came into
right.
play. And it seemed like a perfect time to merge two things that I was interested in, charity and streaming, because that way it was a 24-hour marathon.
Right.
So how do I bring that to my sponsors, like other than just say, oh, I did 24 hours of gaming. This was a perfect platform to show the 24 hours of gaming live. People could tune in and watch it. So after doing that for a couple of years, not like straight, but I'd come back every year to Twitch to do the 24-hour stream. And then eventually in the last 2 years, I kind of been trying to do it more consistently. So never left.
Right. The last Extra Life event, you did the 24-hour stream?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah. How was that? I mean, I check up on you like, how are you doing? You okay? And you were like, great. I'm great. It's still playing.
I learned a lot from that event, actually, for future events. I hope
Yeah.
that are like that if we ever do more location streaming,
Yeah.
just because of the fact that it's hard to stay in the moment when you're in an environment like that, which was done at the Raiders Esports Center.
Right.
You got people coming around, moving all the time. You might be dealing with technical issues with the noise, but otherwise, it was the energy of the environment is what keeps you going, and that seemed like the perfect place to be if you wanted to keep your energy level up. If you started to wane, you could at least get up for a little bit, go talk to somebody, come back.
Right.
But at the same time, a lot of people were interacting with me that I'm not used to having interact with me when I'm streaming. So it was kind of like, how do you manage that? So that was lessons learned for next time, I hope, is trying to separate streamer from location.
Right.
So yeah, I was in a very, central spot. So things you wouldn't know until you're in the moment.
So outside of gaming and streaming and whatnot, you also cosplay?
Yes, I do. Not so much as of late, just because of, I guess, life gets in the way. You get older, you have less time. Also, half of my workspace is kind of gone bye-bye because like I live in an apartment. So I used to do all my painting and everything on a balcony, and they've kind of shut it down for the last little while to do restoration. And also, I belong to a cosplay group that we used to do group theme stuff.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Really?
Yeah. We were primarily a Borderlands themed group, and that's how I met them actually at Fan Expo. I was dressed as a Borderlands character, they were dressed as Borderlands characters, and we kind of crossed paths, and we were just like, dude, your costume's awesome. Your costume's awesome. And then eventually we just found each other online later in one of the cosplay making forums.
Right.
And we're like, wait a minute, that was you guys? And
Could they look different, or?
No, just because you can't tell who they are online until you see a picture that pops up and goes,
That's true.
oh, that was you. So I got in touch with them, and then we stayed in touch, and we started sharing tips because they had information I didn't have. Like one of the guys is really good with electrical work, so lights and everything like that,
Right.
whereas I'm good with painting, like everything to do with painting, even some fabrication I do, right? So,
wicked, dude.
and it's all self-taught, you know. But it was great to get into that.
How did you get into cosplaying?
Getting into cosplay was something that I guess I'd always gone to the conventions, but this was 5 years ago that I didn't
Right.
get in. I just got into it, and it's because everyone's shy. It was still not. It was still had stigmatism with it. It still had like, oh, that's weird, like, you know. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to get into it. But I was seeing someone at the time that made me a deal. They're like, all right, if you make a costume, I'll make one, and we can go together and make it easier and get into it that way. And yeah, I ended up making my costume, and we went, and it was nice to have a buddy to kind of merge it in, or kind of go with, to make it easier on yourself, especially because of the fact that you're walking down the street in costume and people are staring at you. But then once you get into the convention, it's like, I was surprised at how many people like enjoyed the work that you make. And that's kind of what hooked me. It was just like, these people really appreciate the work that you do. Even if you thought your costume was bad, somebody's going to appreciate it.
Right.
So that's why it just made me want to make better cosplay after that.
So you brought a few of your cosplay props.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, this is, speaking of first cosplay, this was the first one I made, actually.
Really?
Yeah, this is the very first one. This is what started it all. This is actually the best item I had, because everything else was just, I picked items up that would work with the cosplay, because he's actually shirtless, so thankfully there wasn't a lot of items I had to make. He just had
Okay.
certain armor pieces. Yeah, but the main I guess item was the mask, getting the mask right. So I actually found something online that was an airsoft mask. It looks like a skeleton under here, but then I ended up building it up with epoxy, like to make it look like the actual character's mask, and then painted it and everything like that. So it was perfect for what I needed. So that actually surprisingly got really good reviews, even though it tends to hurt a bit on the nose, especially since I added all the weight here. And then, as I said, like, it made me want to create better costumes. So then this is the technology improved as you start to learn stuff. This is 3D printed, believe it or not.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if you want to take a look at it. Yeah, sure. My roommate
God.
designed, I gave him all the 3D models that he needed to reference to make it,
Yeah.
and he ended up drafting it in one of his 3D programs, and then he took it to his work, and they had a 3D printer, and they printed it over, he told me 17 hours, so I think it took 2 nights because it was on a hobby craft printer.
Right.
So the newer ones nowadays can do it in a couple hours, whereas that one required time to make all the pieces.
Right.
So eventually I did sand it all down and smoothed it out and painted it, and then added the carbon fiber like tape to it.
Yeah. This is so cool, Eric.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, and I can tell the detail with like the paint,
yeah,
like just like light strokes to kind of give it like.
light strokes.
that
Yeah,
look.
dry painting.
Yeah.
A lot of dry painting went into that because that's how you get that to go.
This is so cool, dude.
Also, it's also
So cool.
You learn a lot too, because the texture of 3D print material is different too.
Like this, right?
Not all paints take to it.
Oh.
So sometimes it requires different kinds of paints or extra
Right.
coats. So that, yeah, as I said, you learn a lot as you go along, and your technology grows with it. Like, what materials can I use? Like, now that you have access to 3D printing, that didn't used to be a thing.
Right. What are your plans for cosplaying this year?
I'm currently scheduled to go to Fan Expo.
Sweet.
In what capacity, I don't know yet.
It's okay. It's so early in the year.
Well, it's-
Lots of time.
I'm assuming I'll have a new costume. It's just a matter I don't know what, because again, I try and link up with my group and see if they're going to do anything themed, and then we'll go from there. 2 of them actually are getting married to each other, so that might, yes.
I love.
Oh, I know, and it's nerd love too, so it's great. They met cosplaying. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, because their wedding, I believe, is in October, so it's very close to Fan Expo in September. So
Okay.
we may or may not have cosplay doing that, or it might just be myself. But I'm hoping Shovel Knight is interesting right now for them. They've got 2 costumes, and I want to do one because there's a lot of knights that you could do. So that's the plan for this year.
That's exciting.
Well,